What does it mean to pray in secret? Should I be praying in my closet? I'm going to be talking about this funny little verse in the Bible where Jesus says to go and pray in your closet. As a kid, I always thought that this verse was about being boastful, about so that other people hear you and not that God is hearing you. And as a kid, I actually kind of took comfort in this verse. Introverted and shy was like, yes, I get rewarded for going and praying in the closet. That's awesome. Here's the verse. It's Matthew 6:6. And in this version, it's translated as inner room, which sort of clicked for me something about the verse. So here, I'll read it. But when you pray, go into your inner room, shut your door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Now, I don't think this is entirely about where to put your body, but more about the nature of prayer. This is where we put our attention, not if we are able to fit our bodies into a little cupboard or not. It is helpful to find a quiet space. And when you're just learning to pray or learning to do meditation, a quiet place is actually essential. But I think this inner room or closet, as Jesus says, is actually telling us about an inward space. This is a room for the soul in which we can bring our conscious attention. And Jesus is saying that this is praying, as opposed to going out on a street and acting out things for others to see, or reciting something with meaningless words. It's not about the words. It's not about the actions. It's about the awareness. It's about the feeling. Jesus is telling us where the sweet spot of this experience is. It's right here. Let's look at the words of the verse. Inner room. When you go into silent prayer, where do you go? In other words, where does your awareness go? Does your mind's eye see a picture? It's an unseen place in the mind's eye. It's void of any objects or people. You can wander around the palace for a long time, thinking about a lot of things. But the door to this inner room is small, and it's hidden. It reminds me of the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, where the door to this church is 4 feet tall, 2 feet wide, and 2 feet deep. You have to actually duck down to get in. The door to the inner room is small because only the earnest will find it. And only the humble are ready. It's like trying to find a diamond ring on the side of a freeway when you're driving 65 miles per hour. Noticing the subtle details is a little bit hard when you're going that fast. Of course, if we were to stop and walk, we would have a much better chance of finding it. When we are still, our minds slow down. A few deep breaths and our vagus nerve is calmed. And we suddenly can hear the animals scurrying or the birds chirping. Stillness is an invitation to those subtler energies of God, both outer and inward. Our mind, however, is going 65 miles per hour all the time and doesn't naturally want to slow down to find the door. We need to intentionally downshift ourselves. That's the deep breathing is helpful for. If we can listen to our breath, or if we can watch a candle, or if we can just take our attention and focus it on one thing, then our mind starts to slow down a little bit. But our mind can only take us so far. It can get us to the door, but to get through the small round door of the inner room, we must enter through with our heart. Our heart speaks the language of the inner room. It is an unspoken language. It is a language of feeling, and it is a language of energy. Close the door. So what does this part of the verse mean? Well, this means that we enter with abandon. It's a state of surrender. We're not guarded. We have closed the door. We don't need to worry about what's out there. We are here. We are here and present. We closed the door. We can enter in and we trust the space. And the Father who is unseen, the spiritual energy that is the seed of creation. I really think that Jesus was using this word as a metaphor for the energy of God that is at the origin of all that is. But this energy that we meet in our inner chamber is etheric, it's electric, it's transformative. It is the place from which we rise. Jesus is saying our prayers are meaningless unless they come from this place, unless they come from the heart, unless they come filled with love, seen through love, unless they embrace all that is. So the words, the Father sees you and rewards you. Perhaps we can look at it as simply that God, the experience of God is interactive. And this feeling bolsters us, and as a result, we are rewarded with peace and love. We leave this inner room experience changed. And going back to it over and over again gets easier and easier. It is a practice. Prayer is a practice of accessing that energy which gives life. It is tapping into the life force that is God. Jesus is showing us that this is an internal process. This is an internal place. There is no outward action that can replace this inward movement. And one thing that I think of when I think of the inward space is that we know that the universe expands exponentially, but it also expands exponentially inward. There is no end to this inner room. There is always something to explore. It is not dull. It is full of all that is. It is pregnant with possibility. Prayer is superficial if it's simply coming from the mind and not from the heart. The mind can never pray with effect. The mind will always be tidying up around the castle, trying to fix things or make things better or put a new door in somewhere. And you know, your castle does not need to be tidy to enter the inner room. Let your mind take you to the door, but let your heart enter in with full abandon. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And I'm curious, in the comments down below, what's your experience of the inner room? What do you find there? And what keeps you from entering that small and narrow door? Thanks so much for joining me for this video, and much love to you.